kids have been actually fighting for peace for a long time, but nobody really pays any attention to them. And I think finally we're trying to get people to listen to us, you know, because we got something to say too.
I want to see children in other countries saying that they want peace. It's all very well and good for them to be saying, yes, Russian people want peace. I want the people of Russia to say, I want peace. Yes, I want the people of everywhere to say, I want peace. Then we can start.
I spent the summer in Nagasaki, and you were talking about wanting people to want peace. And people in Japan want peace more than any group of people I've ever seen in my life because, of course, they had Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I spent a day with two of my Japanese friends, and I desperately trying to explain how Americans thought that nuclear bombs could deter a war, but to them, if you built a bomb, it meant you wanted to kill people.
I think most kids are really afraid of nuclear war, and that, you know, that we might not be here, and that might happen in our lifetime. And I know that any kind of war, there's always something that can come after it. But if we have a nuclear war, then we're not going to be here anymore.
Before it was just something that was part of the world and I couldn't change it. And now I realize that I can do something about it, and my fears show me that I have to do something about it.
Are you going to consider that the opening paragraph, the opening sentence?
I think the person who's reading that.
Are you concerned about peace?
I think
Is that first part of the paragraph?
yeah, that should be part of the paragraph.
Okay, so that's first.
Kind of.
So there's first paragraph, second paragraph.
Yeah, and then,
What do we want? Peace! When do we want it? Now!
We have to start with ourselves, and when we have peace within ourselves, share that with our neighbors and our friends until we, as a community, can take our peace as a community to the next community and build from there until someday we can achieve a strong peace internationally.
I believe where there is faith, there is love. Where there is love, there is peace. Where there is peace, there is God. Where there is God, there is no need.
Okay.
I believe that the great contribution that children give to this world is that they are children. The world through their eyes is that great place where anything is possible. Even a world with only love, only joy, and only peace. Perhaps then it is from a child's point of view that we can see this world more clearly, because like a child, that vision is crystal clear, honest, and wise. Hello, I'm Robert Young, and in these small bodies and hearts are oceans of wisdom that we call our children. And perhaps if we really listen to them and to the child within ourselves, we will find a place where children are naturally, in a world filled with simple, boundless love for all living things. And a little child shall lead them. That passage in the Bible led two people on a mission of simply listening and letting children be our teachers. Dr. Gerald Jampolsky, world-renowned for his lifetime of work with children facing life-threatening illnesses, and counselor, writer, and businesswoman Diane Cirincione, set out believing that if children can feel this way, then perhaps so can we. And so marked the beginning of their international movement called Children as Teachers of Peace.
That is all we want to share. Let us live our lives in peace.
My feelings as I go around the country is that most people under 12 years age think that peace is possible. Do most of you think that peace is possible in the world? What happens to we adults then? Because most of the adults I talk to don't feel that peace is possible. They think, oh, there's wars now, and there always are going to be wars, there always has been. What's happened to adults?
You're not open-minded. The society has changed you. See, we're not molded into adults yet. When you're an adult, you have to fit the mold. really.
How can kids to stop from fitting the mold, and maybe how can we adults get out of the mold? That's
Well, we have to help you get out of the mold, and you have to help us so we will never get into the mold.
Older people, they have more pressures now, and they're thinking about their own lives. You know, people are so involved in themselves, they don't realize what's going on around them, and they don't care half the time. But kids, they don't have, you know, those pressures. Well, they do have pressures, but not as much as adults do. And they kind of, like, know about peace a little bit more, because they have it themselves. Kids have an inner peace, a quality that a lot of adults lose.
I think that, like, you know, everybody's basically said, you know, like, peace is friendship, but I think a thing that a lot of people have left out is trust. And you can't have peace in the world if the countries don't even trust each other. I mean, if people in their own countries can't get along, then we can't have peace everywhere. And also you have to forget about things that happened a long time ago that have sort of maybe put wars on we're all fighting about things that happened so long ago.
You know, one of the things that Diane and I know most people who are listening to you are wondering is, what do young people think about that's bothering them the most? What are they really fearful about? What's going on inside of their heart that concerns them the most?
I don't like to think that my life and the world's life is in Reagan's and someone in the Soviet Union's hands. They can kill us instantly if they want to. Just set off the nuclear bomb and we'll be dead in a while. And it's scary to think that after living, someone can just stop your life so suddenly.
Do you think that the threat is real?
I think it's stupid, but I think it's real.
We have the ability to blow up like another country, and they have the ability to blow up ours. I mean, we have the ability to end life, and I don't think that anybody should have that ability. Nobody has the right to end somebody's life, and I think that's a real horror here.
That's God's job.
It's that somebody actually has the nerve to think that they could end somebody's life.
The thing is, it's not just the government that can press the button and launch the nuclear weapons. It could be any wino that just walks in and happens to press the wrong button.
After I saw the movie the day after, I had like a series of dreams about nuclear war and like nightmares. You know, like having your life one day and ending it the next, that makes you feel very uneasy. And like they said, just for somebody to be able, it's their decision, just for somebody to be able to push the button and end your life, it doesn't feel right.
It makes me nervous, too. That, I mean, somebody, if they want to, they could kill me, you know? And it's like, there's nothing I could do about it. And it's like helpless or something. And that's why I hope this world peace thing, I hope people listen to us, because a lot of us have good ideas, and I think it's really important that we solve this problem, because it affects all of our lives.
It scares me to think that one day I could be going to school and the next day I could be dead. So I don't really like the idea of dying.
You know how animals, like, they live together, they, you know, live with the environment and everything is peaceful with them. Yet humans, we're supposed to be like the highest of all the creatures, and yet we can't get along, and yet the simple animals can get along.
Right. Peace, we have a far way to go with peace, but we'll get there soon, hopefully, soon enough.
You know, one of the things that Diane and I talk a lot about in lecturing around the world is love. What do you think's happened to love in the world? Sometimes I get the feeling that the world is just crying out, you know, for love.
I don't think love ever left. I just think it's being hidden with all our thoughts, you know. The world's a cold, harsh place. The love's still there. We just need to look for it.
We're very excited what we learned from all the kids today, but we wanted to know what you felt.
I think that children have a natural sense of peace and grace, and that when you give them the opportunity to express it like you did today, it'll just come forth naturally.
As a child, I can remember the 1950s nuclear war threat. Well, my son, Singh, is now afraid of nuclear war, and I have become numb, you know, as an adult, but I've been reminded of the reality of what this means to a child to fear that the world might disappear the next day.
We should take our children more seriously, and we learn from them that they are very insightful, that they are very perceptive. I wish they were the leaders, really, you know, dealing with other leaders in peace and, you know, advising the other leaders, because they really came up with very good answers.
I think those kids were all aware of the fact that the future's in their hands. I don't think any of them had the illusions that they're going to remain children forever. I mean, they really knew that the responsibility was going to be theirs.
Of all the things you learned this morning, this I mean, the children, what's the one thing most in your heart?
Probably the one thing I learned most was to continue to listen.
That's what I was going to say.
Really?
Yeah.
To continue to listen.
That listening and love are the same. When you listen without trying to interrupt, when you listen with only trying to give conditional love, this is what I heard from the children, listening.
Somehow, I have an open mind that peace can come back, but I don't think it will ever be restored to its natural as it was before. Just like if you have an original of something and you break it, you can get a fake one, but it'll never be like the original.
When spoken from the heart of a child, the message is clear. These, our littlest teachers, want peace in their world. And in believing it, it becomes real. And so they carried their message of peace to a historic gathering in New York's Cathedral of St. John the Divine. The event was Summit 6, bringing spiritual leaders from around the world into focus on global unity and the oneness of the human family. The event was led by children.
And a little child shall lead them. Let us tonight make a decision to really listen to the voices of children and to recognize children as teachers of peace.
If we had peace, people would not be fighting and getting hurt. If we had peace, the world would be perfect, but it isn't. So I hope one day it will be perfect and we will live in love and harmony.
Be kind. No nuclear bomb threats. No wars, no killing. And you should even be kind with the animals. Don't hurt them or kill them.
The most important element of peace is peace within and among ourselves. I think it is a hard but workable movement that we face right now.
We all have to get together and put aside our feelings of pride and our prejudices and agree on something before it's too late.
Peace has always been the best way. I believe where there is faith, there is love. Where there is love, there is peace. Where there is peace, there is God. Where there is God, there is no need.
And a little child shall lead them, thousands of them, urging them to look at the world through their eyes. Among those who heard the children's message that day, a man who at their age led an entire nation, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet, who is still today the leader for millions of Buddhists.
Now, you see, everyone is talking about world peace. You see, in order to achieve genuine, lasting world peace, we must first develop within ourselves a genuine peace of mind. You see, through peace of mind, there is greater possibility to achieve genuine world peace. So now you see, the peace of world now today is really, you see, serious matter. I think you should sort of, how to say, the question of survival of humanity. So therefore, that is something very urgent. And also it is not a responsibility for few people, but I think, you see, that responsibility, every human being. So you see, with courage, with hope, with determination, we must look, you see, forward for a better human society, a happier human community. And that's our goal. Let us try to contribute for that goal as much as possible. Thank you very much.
The strong connection between the children and His Holiness led to another historic meeting, this time across the United States to Santa Barbara, California, where the Dalai Lama spent the morning just listening, laughing, and talking with children about peace.
I'm 15 years old, and I read that when you were 16, you took over. And I'm almost 16 myself, and I can imagine how hard that must have been. What was it like to suddenly be in total control, and especially when China was coming in and everything? What was it like?
If there is, you see, a love atmosphere, you see, the fear does not exist.
I think the love is, I think, one of the most important thing in human society.
I think a lot of the kids had a feeling that in meeting a famous person that he would be stiff, or they wouldn't be able to touch him, there wouldn't be an interaction, and yet everything just seemed to flow like water back and forth, and it was such a happy event for everyone.
One of the most profound remarks that I remember the children saying was one of the little boys, when he said to His Holiness, "You know, I'm 9 years old, and I fight with my friends sometimes. When you were 9 years old, did you fight with your friends?" He said, "You know, I did. And even today, sometimes I have difficulty in not wanting to fight with people. But I've learned as I've grown up that that's never the benefit."
Everyone, you see, need more friend. Do you want more friend? There's no doubt, isn't it? So you see, in order to make more friend, love, compassion.
What's inside the pouch that you carry?
Some, you see, paper, tissue paper. Tissue paper, especially, you see, last few days, because I got cold. And you see, from nose, many things, you see, come regularly.
This is Landon Smith, and we'd like to introduce you to him because we feel he's a symbol of what we're here today about, a symbol of innocence, a symbol of love. And,
very beautiful, very, very beautiful. I hope, you see, when these small ones grown up, I think, you see, we may have a better world, happier world. That's only our hope. Pray. But I don't know what kind of thinking in this mind. Too small. Too small.
It's so tiny. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. We thank you so much.
I want to.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, kids, come up. Would you please ask me? Okay, would you help give them away?
Yeah. To distribute.
Thank you very much.
And then also, I would like to give
thank you.
Some of it, my thought.
Yeah, that's for you, gang. It's for all of you.
It seems as though our children today are not only concerned about what they'll be when they grow up, many are wondering whether they'll ever have the chance to grow up at all. And for a child, that is indeed a frightening thought. You know, children, not just talking about peace anymore, they're starting to take responsibility for it, aren't they, Jerry?
Indeed they are, Bob, and one of the most striking examples of young people taking charge was what we recently experienced in St. Paul, Minnesota.
For 3 days, people came from all over the country to a Peace Child Festival, and it was the first of its kind, and it was encouraging young people to become involved in positive changes towards world peace.
See, he's got developed a styrofoam wall to stop planes. Theory, stop the plane, don't hurt the pilot. Makes sense. And yours shoots corks, right? Tank that shoots corks to jam up the engines of the other. That's great. We keep thinking that a good weapon kills a person. That's not a good weapon. A good weapon stops somebody from hurting you, okay? And if we can keep it from killing a person along the same way, that's great. So the kids are designing, for instance, ways to stop tanks that don't hurt the people inside it.
You be you, and I'll be me. That's the way we're meant to be.
For 48 hours, they shaped their ideas, their fears, and their hopes for the future into a final statement of peace that they would present in the state capitol to political leaders on the 3rd day. And even before hearing it, Minnesota's Lieutenant Governor Marianne Johnson came to the same realization that Jerry and I had several months back.
And the dominant culture in this country hasn't included listening. You know, my dad used to say to me, if you can't listen, you never will learn. And that's something which we have to keep reminding ourselves, that if we could just close our own mouths and listen to what other people have to say, particularly those under 20, the ones that we're here today to not only listen to, but to acknowledge and to applaud and encourage, And as, you know, these are real leaders here.
I think that kids aren't always taken seriously. I think there's got to be a need for the kids to be taken seriously to get anything done.
Kevin, I wanted to ask you again, what do you think it's going to go from here? What are you going to take forward with you? What is tangible that you can take into your life now?
I think it's a good experience. It's kind of, the basic ideas are really good, that you have to start at the bottom and work up. And then I think within the family school, that peace building is important to start there, not necessarily on the national level, because you have to start, you can't make peace between nations if you can't make peace within your own nation.
The ideas that they come up with, that children come up with, are, I feel, important, if not more important than the ideas of the adults, because the children are going to inherit the world that the adults leave behind.
Larry, you're a spiritual leader for your people.
I see the children as the legacy of our vision and our quest, and that is justice and peace in their world.
There must be less glorification of war and more recognition of peace activities. We support a multilateral freeze leading to disarmament so that we can begin to work on the underlying conflicts. We need development of a more effective and peaceful means of international conflict resolution. We need honesty from our public officials and government agencies. We want to have the views of youth taken more seriously.
I'm Joan Grohl, and I'm your... Keep your message going. Carry it out to those people who right now are not willing to listen, because ultimately you have the right message. You have done it in such a wonderful way. I congratulate you, and I rest easier knowing that my old age is resting in your hands as you come forward. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is David Woolcombe, and I'm the author of Peace Child.
The heart of the Peace Child Festival that weekend was the Peace Child play, written and directed by British playwright David Woolcombe, and adapted from Bernard Benson's book, The Peace Child. It's about a Russian girl and an American boy who meet, share their dream of worldwide peace, and together convince the leaders of their own countries that there really can be peace and trust in the world.
One day, one of them will go off by accident. Our whole world could die because of a mistake by a computer chip.
Well, you know, people are getting these nuclear shelters.
Nuclear shelters? Are you mad? When nuclear war comes, everything will die. Anything that survives the blast will be killed by the radiation. And there will be no food, and no plants, and no animals, and no fishes.
This thing really gets to you, doesn't it?
I don't want to die. I want to live. I want to grow up, have a full life, a job, a family, children of my own. I want to grow old like my grandmother and tell my grandchildren stories like she tells me. I want to travel, to make friends, to meet people. I want to live.
I met David several years ago in England, where his Peace Child play debuted. And although he rewrites every production of it, every cast has had the same reaction. The children don't want to be just reading lines, they want to be living them.
Another play. And then after opening night came, and we were all together out there and celebrating and everything, it all hit me that, you know, this is really, it's all real, and it can all happen. Yeah. And we can all make it happen. Yeah. That was really important to me.
After I got into this play and started working on it, I started realizing that peace may be a little more important than reducing the arms.
I know that I think about it every day. I think at least once about this play and what it's saying, just because it's so in my mind. And that makes me, I think, feel more peaceful towards people. Like, I don't want to fight with people as much. And also, I happen to be basically 100% Russian by heritage. And my grandfather's actually from Russia. He escaped. And when people always say, well, you know, where are you from and stuff, I say, I'm Russian. And the first thing people always have done to me is say, oh, you're communist. And I'm like, I'm totally American. I just happen to be Russian by heritage. And that was always my attitude. Now, after being in this play, I realize that I don't have to defend myself. There's nothing wrong with being Russian. It's wonderful. I am Russian by heritage, and I'm very proud of it.
All right.
Karen, my father was born in Russia, so I went through the same thing you do. We have a lot in common.
The message about this play is a true one, and I think if we look at that a little more clearly about what it means to be, what it is that children have to offer us, children of all ages, but that the children really carry the power to change the world. I believe that's true about this play, and I think you've really touched the essence of that. And I think if, as adults, if we could just back off of being adults for a while, like that one scene with the president, and for real, that's not childish. That's childlike, and there's a large difference. And I think the children really possess the power to change the world. I believe they really do. I believe that.
There is a joy, an innocence, a sense of wonderment and trust that only a child can claim so richly. And within each one of us is that innocent child just waiting to be reawakened. Children put it so simply that the responsibility for peace in this world has to begin within ourselves. As we begin to truly listen to the voices of children, we'll see a world created from greater and wiser decisions. A world filled with friendship, understanding, mutual cooperation, leading the way to a lasting peace.
I don't think love ever left. I just think it's being hidden with all our thoughts, you know. The world's a cold, harsh place. The love's still there. We just need to look for it.
I see the children as a legacy of our vision and our quest, and that is justice and peace in their world.
We support a multilateral freeze leading to disarmament so that we can begin to work on the underlying conflicts. We want to have the views of youth taken more seriously.
I think that children have a natural sense of peace and grace, and that when you give them the opportunity to express it like you did today, it'll just come forth naturally.
What peace means to me? It means no arguing. Everybody be friends, happy with each other. Be kind. No nuclear bomb threats. No wars, no killing. And you should even be kind with the animals. Don't hurt them or kill them.
I hope people listen to us, because a lot of us have good ideas, and I think it's really important that we solve this problem, because it affects all of our lives.
When nuclear war comes, everything will die. Anything that survives the blast will be killed by the radiation. And there will be no food, and no plants, and no animals, and no fishes.
This thing really gets to you, doesn't it?
I don't want to die. I want to live. I want to grow up, have a full life, a job, a family, children of my own. I want to grow old like my grandmother and tell my grandchildren stories like she tells me. I want to travel, to make friends, to meet people. I want to live.
Very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. I hope, you see, when these small ones grown up, I think, you see, we may have a better world, happier world. That's the only